Hey guys, Geoffrey here. In this video, I want to show you what you should be doing if you find yourself on the brink of a divorce, separation, breakup, whatever it is, the end of your relationship, and you find that your partner doesn't even want to try to save the relationship. And be sure to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to show you a very important paradox here that I think a lot of people miss. And because people miss this, they miss a massive opportunity in their life, in their relationship. And it's not until my clients realize this that everything changes for them. So I want to make sure that you get this change yourself as well. And in case you're new to this channel, my name is Geoffrey and I empower men in long-term relationships and marriages with the right skills and knowledge to become irreplaceable in the relationship. So it doesn't matter what situation you're in, no matter how dire, I want you to become someone irreplaceable to reattract your partner. So if you want more content on this topic, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. And before we begin this video, I also want to let you know that the masterclass and the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up is still open. So if you want to join me in that masterclass, be sure to stick around to the very end of this video for the announcement on how you can join that masterclass. Now, before we understand the main meat of this video, you have to understand why your partner feels hopeless if you're in a long-term relationship. And again, this is going to be different if you're in a short-term relationship or if in the early stages, the dating stages. Again, I specialize working with people who are in marriages, in long-term relationships. So just note that it'll be different. But usually when you find yourself facing a partner who has checked out and who doesn't even want to try in the relationship anymore, odds are, and this is pretty much 100% of the time, I've never seen a case that goes against this. Your partner has tried to save the relationship many, many times in the past, albeit in her own ways. But she's tried to tell you the problems many, many times. She tried to fix the problems herself many, many times. But every single time she tries, either tries to tell you something, tries to instill change, catalyze change, etc., she realizes that she gets burned. Either her efforts are dismissed by you, and if you're thinking right now that, oh, she hasn't even tried really. If you're thinking that, this proves this right, that you have been dismissing her efforts to change the relationship, to improve the relationship many, many times in the past. It might be because whenever she tells you of problems in the relationship, you get defensive, you start to blame and shift blame to your partner. It could be that you may realize the changes that you need to make and you make all these promises, but each time you betray those promises and you make those into false promises. Or it could be that nothing really changes, either because you failed to acknowledge it, you failed to understand it, you were too busy blaming, etc. You failed to make the changes, and so nothing happens. So she gets burned every single time she tries. And so when this happens, emotional safety gets destroyed, and she finds herself in this very difficult catch-22, where if she doesn't share, then of course nothing happens. Nothing good happens because the problem perpetuates. But if she shares something, either she'll be ignored, either she'll be blamed, blame will be shifted, or nothing will happen. You will just say a bunch of logical claims, but nothing will really change. So either way she steps, she loses. And in a relationship, the problems itself don't cause this hopelessness. So the money issues you have, the communication issues you have, all these things don't really cause the hopelessness. What makes people feel really hopeless is really this catch-22. And when your partner doesn't want to try, odds are, I guarantee you, that she's feeling deeply this catch-22. Now, whether you realize it or not, and whether you're in denial of it or not is another matter entirely, but guaranteed she's feeling this massive catch-22. And these mistakes usually come in 5 different forms that people make. The first one is that you might be dismissing your partner's efforts to actually save the relationship in the past. And again, a lot of you watching this video may be in denial and say, oh, I've tried everything, but I haven't seen her try anything. And the second mistake people make is really the other side of this, where they think they've tried everything. And trust me, guys, if you are having a position where your partner feels really, really hopeless, then safety, that emotional safety in the relationship is massively broken. And if the emotional safety is so broken that your partner feels hopeless, then I guarantee you haven't tried everything. A lot of people who join the program, they come in thinking that they've tried everything. They've read some books here, they've tried out the programs, tried therapy for years or even decades, and they think they know everything there is to create safety, but once they join the program, they realize, ooh, there's a lot that we don't know about creating safety. And trust me, guys, if you don't have enough safety to this point where your partner's feeling really hopeless, you're missing a ton of stuff. So you haven't really tried everything. Number 3, is that the hopelessness also makes them feel hopeless. So a lot of people, when their partner doesn't want to try, they also give up. They also feel very hopeless. Number 4 is when you start to blame your partner for their lack of commitment here. So again, going off of number 1 as well, this is not only you saying, well, I've tried everything and my partner hasn't really tried. Well, this is really that she doesn't really want to try. If I was me, I would be more committed. I would try even harder because I'm committed, she's not. So you're trying to blame her on not being committed. Number 5 is you're trying to logically convince your partner again. So you're trying to come up here with some logical arguments of why your partner should stay, why your partner should give you another chance, etc. So if you look at this 5, you can really look at the mistakes into 3 categories. One is either you give up, you shift blame, or you logically try to change her mind. So first, let's talk about giving up. Why is that a mistake? So again, at this point, she has tried to save the relationship and trusted you many, many times. But every time she does, every time she trusts you, every time she puts herself for you, she's been burned in the ways that we talked about before. Now, this time though, because she's been burned so many times, now she needs to make sure that she can feel your changes in a very, very deep way. She's at a point right now where if she trusts you again, and she trusts you again, she gets her hopes up, and she gets betrayed again, I don't think she can forgive herself, right? Because it's almost like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. But in this case, instead of fool me twice, it's fool me 100 times maybe. So she needs to feel that you have changed, you indeed have changed in the correct ways, that your changes are not fake, and that your changes are permanent, they're real, and they have very good intentions behind it. Now, what happens if you give up? If you give up here, imagine this, okay? You've been claiming and promising that you will change, that you have changed all this time. And your partner finally says, I don't want to work on this relationship anymore. And you instantly give up. And you give up all the changes that you needed to make. You went back to your old self. You backtracked yourself. You went back to your old ways. That will show her that you haven't and that you can't really change. It will show her that your changes are not genuine, that they're not real. They're not based on good reasons of why you want to change. They're just a short-term thing you're doing to get her back. And they're not permanent as well, because you fundamentally don't enjoy the processes. That when the possibility of getting your trophy in a way is gone, you don't want to change anymore. So your changes here are bred out of manipulation, out of need, not out of genuine desire that is more genuine. And if this is the case, if you give up, ironically here, you're just proving her right. So if your partner tells you that she doesn't want to work on the relationship and that makes you give up at that point in time, then she knows at that point, I made the right choice, because his changes were never real, never genuine, and I was going to be burned if I do come back again. That is crucial here. I wanted you to see that irony and that paradox as well. Now, what happens if you blame? Again, at this point, she has tried to give a lot of effort to try to save the relationship, to try to tell you the problems, to try to trust you that you will do and can do something about it. But again, she's been burned many times. So now again, she needs to feel the changes in a very, very deep way. And part of feeling your changes is knowing in her soul, in her emotions here, that one, you can be aware of the issues in the relationship, that you can understand your role, your 100% contribution in the 50%, and that you can change as well. But if you are very quick to blame like this, blame her character, blame her for being non-committal, tell yourself that you've done everything and tell her that you've done nothing, then it shows just how clueless you are. And it should show you here why your partner is feeling this very intense catch-22. Because she's trying to tell you something and you're saying, it's not the problem is all you, right? It's very frustrating. It shows how stubborn you are. It shows that nothing can and nothing will change because you don't even realize what the problem is. And it shows her that she will probably get burned again if she decides to come back. Okay. Now, what if you try to use logic? You try to use your explanations to try to explain to her how things will change and have changed, etc. Again, she has trusted you many times and she's been burned many times. And this burning can be either in a very passive way where you're trying your best. You're trying your best to change yourself, to become better. But somehow you keep slipping up. And so you keep saying to her, I'll be better, but you keep slipping up. And you slip up in a very subconscious way, maybe because you don't have the right process to make it consistent. So there she feels betrayed again. And it could be in a very explicit way too, where you're just simply dismissing what you need to change and just saying that you want to change and you will change because you know that's what you're supposed to say. So now, because she's been burned so many times, she needs to feel and know that these changes are changes that are shown through actions, not just words, and that these changes are, again, the changes that are impossible to fake, that are really difficult to fake. So she wants to see what you do when things are hard, this subtle, etc. I've already made a video on this, so feel free to watch the video above my head to really understand what I mean when I say she wants to see the changes that are impossible to fake. And she also wants to see that these changes are very, very consistent over a long period of time. And so if you keep using logic like this and you just try to explain to her your changes and why she should change her mind and everything like that, then realize that you have done and said the same many times before. But you have shown to her over and over again that it was a false promise, it was a false change. And so if you keep relying on the same tactics, on the same methods of trying to logically convince her, then she will just keep thinking the same, which is, no, I'm not going to trust this anymore because I'm going to get burned over and over again if I trust this, because I have been burned many times before. I understand here the objections and the misconceptions and the problems people can have about this. What I'm saying here could be controversial, and a lot of you may have a lot of objections around this to say like, oh, that doesn't work, whatever it is. All I'm saying is we enroll close to 1,000 people every single year, and we know none of these methods work. And there's another better method here, but I understand the temptation to want to fall into one of these traps of doing one of these things. Because when you give up, it makes you feel good momentarily because you get rid of this responsibility and the work that you need to do. Because now it's like, okay, I give up. She doesn't want to try. Nothing I can do. The truth is there is something you can do. There are a lot of things you can do, but prematurely giving up gives you the excuse to simply not do anything. And it makes you feel good for a while because you can just say, let me just get a new one. If you shift blame, it also feels good momentarily because it absolves you of any guilt that you need to feel, of any responsibility, of taking responsibility for your own mistakes, your own past, and it also absolves you of the work that you need to do to really grow yourself in a genuine way. And it's also easy to use logic because this allows you to use your cheap words and your promises, and you can just talk the talk instead of actually walking the walk, which is actually harder, and it takes our clients 6 to 12 months to really learn how to walk the walk. So understand that if you are having so many objections to what I'm about to say or what I have said, and you want to keep thinking that your situation is unique, your situation is different somehow, understand that it could be from the fact that doing these 3 things is actually the easier way out. And our brain will always want to gravitate towards what's the easiest way out instead of actually seeing the truth, especially when it's hard. But I want you to think about here, philosophically, what do you stand to gain by doing any of these 3 things? What you stand to gain is really just a short-term sense of calm, sense of ease, sense of effortlessness, maybe a short-term ego boost. But what do you lose here? You lose, for one, the massive possibility that you could be wrong, and you could be throwing out a relationship that would have been your dream relationship. And I almost made this mistake myself, so make sure you don't make this mistake. And all my clients have almost made this mistake themselves. And you also lose your opportunity to really learn and go deeper into realizing that your self-growth and your betterment of yourself can go much higher than you thought. So here, you have very little to gain. Everything you gain is just ego-based in the next 5 to 10 minutes, maybe a couple of days. But what you stand to lose are massive things. Now, I'm not a betting person, but this is a really, really bad bet. So understand that, objectively speaking, there is really no reason you should be doing any of these 3 things. In fact, your focus, whether your partner wants to work on the relationship or not, should never really change. And the focus, again, is 5 things. You need to first look within, look inside to see what you can control. In this case, you can't control your partner, of course, but you can control how you show up in the relationship, how you show up right now when things are difficult. You need to find the right layers of changes. And again, we always talk about this in our videos where the concept of bettering yourself is widely misunderstood. It's not about going to the gym. It's not about, making more money, pies, or all these traditional things like that people regard to being a high value man. It goes much deeper than that. And in the next video next week, I'll show you more about this, but you have to find the right layers of changes and also master the right layers of changes as well. And you have to also create the 5 pillars in a very deep way. And you have to become basically irreplaceable and get your win-win. And again, if any of these, the right process, the 5 pillars doesn't sound familiar to you, we have an hour-and-a-half masterclass that you can go to where you can learn all these stuff very, very deeply. But again, going back to the question of the betting example, what do you stand to lose if you do this? Short term, you have to confront the fact that you have some work to do. That's what you lose. You have to realize and accept that you have some work to do. You might lose some time in the span of 3-6 months in trying to identify and find these right ways to change. Yes, there's a cost to it, which is your energy and time. And maybe your ego hit in the short term when you have to realize that, hey, maybe part of this is my fault as well. But what do you stand to gain? Number one, again, we enroll 1,000 people every single year, and a lot of our clients are very much shocked at how much their partner's behavior changes when their behavior changes as well. They're shocked at the fact that at the end, when they reconcile, they realize that their partner needed to make this difficult for them. They needed to tell them and needed to remove all hope, because she wants to see whether your changes are real or fake. It's easy to fake changes when there's a lot of hope, when things are easy, but when she makes it hard, that's when she can really see whether your changes are real or fake. And she actually wanted to make this work. She actually wanted for you to be successful from the very beginning, despite what she may be saying. But again, she needed to make it difficult for you to really see what you're made of. They are shocked that there is actually hope in the first place behind the relationship, if you can look beneath the words of what she was saying and actually look within to focus on your own changes, right? So the majority of our clients, the large majority, actually do reconcile and actually do find these things, and they're shocked at the level of changes that they can create by themselves. But even if you don't create that, then you gain the real lessons, the real learnings, the real internal growth that you can really carry with you for the rest of your life. And if you watch a lot of my client stories as well, they won't just talk about the relationship. They will talk about how this also allowed them to create better relationships anywhere they go, whether it's friends, coworkers, with their superiors, with their bosses, and also with their children, where they can break this generational curse that a lot of people are in, where their great-grandparents were toxic, their grandparents were toxic, their parents were toxic, that makes you toxic, and you might even push it down to your children again. I mean, this changes every single relationship of your life, and I want you to learn the lessons that can really change everything, every relationship in your life as well. So again here, the main point of this is that no matter whether your partner is choosing to stay or not, you should be quite untethered from this, because you should be looking within to see what can you do. And when you can look within and focus on what you can do instead, you'll be very surprised at what can change in your relationship. In fact, when you talk to a lot of my clients, here's what I tell them to do in the beginning. When their partner says they don't want to try, I'll tell them to say, hey, look, I get it. I get why you don't want to try. I get why you feel really hopeless. And I would be in the same position if I was you. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Regardless of whether you choose to stay or not, I'm going to look within. I'm going to stop blaming. I'm going to not give up, because I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to work on the external stuff and all the internal stuff, all the subtle things, to make sure that I don't repeat the same mistake ever again, and that whoever comes around me can be happy with me. Now, when I make those changes, you are free to leave if you don't like it, or you are free to stay. That's up to you. But nonetheless, I'm never going to stop changing myself. If you can say that and actually mean what you say and actually make the right internal shifts, that becomes very powerful. Now, in the short term, your partner might resist you because, again, she's not going to believe you. But if you can continue to back it up with real action, with real consistent deep action, then that changes everything. Now, again, I cannot tell you everything here about the process of how to change. I mean, we deliver this through 60 plus hours of content in our program. So if you want to learn more, feel free to either look at my client stories to really see how taking on this bet and betting big on themselves, in no matter what your partner is trying to do or wants to do right now, whether she wants to leave or not, you still look within and really look at what you can improve, how none of them ever regret that decision. It's a really no-lose bet that you can have on yourself. So if you want to see more of that, feel free to look at my client stories above my head. And also, if you want to understand the processes here, a little bit deeper on what the right changes are, etc., then I want you to join me in my free masterclass as well on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In that masterclass, I'll show you the exact steps all my clients have used to gain massive results, despite usually being in worse situations than you are in right now. And at the end of the masterclass, you can also submit your application for the Relationships Revival program, so you can do that then as well. So if you want to join that masterclass, feel free to click the link above my head right now as well. And if you want to download the guide, we discuss some of the frameworks and how you can handle the difficult conversations, especially when you're in a very dire state. You can also download the guide I have for you above my head right now. And if you have a question and you want to join a community where you can post these questions and have a member of my team answer them for you, then you can also join me in my free Facebook group down below this video as well. And for now, if you found this video enlightening, feel free to give it a like. It really helps the channel out. And also, subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this one. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I would love to hear from you. For now, I want to leave you with these 2 other videos that I think will build very nicely off of this current video that you watched, with more skills and knowledge for you to design a thriving relationship by yourself. So if you want to watch this video, go ahead. For now, I'll see you in the next video.